Leaving America honestly felt a bit like dumping a toxic partner. You know the type, always demanding, never listens, constantly stressing you out, right? Somehow convincing you it's all your fault in the meantime. And at first, you try to make excuses. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it'll change. Maybe it's just a rough patch. But deep down, I knew the endless hustle, the drive everywhere lifestyle, the chaos that followed me everywhere. My mental bags were full and it was time to check out. So back in the States, driving isn't just about transportation. It's a lifestyle. You drive everywhere, unless you're in big cities and even sometimes in those. You drive to get milk. Traffic is a daily companion. Honking horns is a given. Honking horns is a given. There's endless lanes, road rage. Sometimes I felt like I spent more time in my car than I did in my own house. And then you factor in all of the costs like gas, insurance, parking, tolls. It never ends. Here in the UK, driving has been optional for me. I walk almost all the time. I honestly rarely take buses, but I take trains all the time. And you know what? It is so much better. I notice the little things. I notice the cobblestones, the corner shops, street performers, the colors of the trees, the animals scurrying about. Life actually happens outside of the car. And it kind of feels like therapy in a lot of ways. Also in America, you talk about work. There's definitely a different perspective of work in America versus in the United Kingdom. The hustle culture in America. Now, it's not non-existent here in the United Kingdom, but the American version is absolutely relentless. Emails at midnight, weekends swallowed up by deadlines, constant pressure to prove yourself, constant pressure to improve and succeed. Work becomes your identity, and burnout is just something you have to live with. It's basically a badge of honor and something that you have to live with. But here in the UK, work exists, of course, and there is a bit of hustle culture, but most people don't let it define their life. People clock out on time a lot more here in the UK. They take lunch breaks more often than not. And sometimes there's even a pint waiting at the pub at the end of the workday. It's almost revolutionary when you come from my perspective, where I've grown up in corporate American culture. Suddenly I realized life could be a little bit more calm, a little more balanced, and definitely more meaningful. I didn't need to prove myself every second. I could just be. And because of perks like my medical benefits not being tied to my job, if something didn't work out and I was unhappy with the culture, with the company, with the wage packet, I had a lot more options to leave. Moving here to the United Kingdom, started to notice little things that I didn't even realize I was missing so much in my life in America. Having a few minutes to just sip a warm beverage in the morning instead of gulping it down in the car while I'm sitting in traffic. Strolls after work where I hear birds chirping and I can notice the leaves changing colors and the wind rustling through the trees. Sunday roasts that aren't just meals, but an actual ritual of indulgence and deliciousness. Every small tradition, like stopping to chat with a neighbor, greeting someone on the street, every small tradition here in the UK just makes life feel a little bit warmer and a little bit more comfortable. It's kind of funny because I didn't realize how much I've been missing those small moments, even with my immediate family, until I had them. Even though we were a little bit more deliberate about spending time and sucking up those small moments in the United States for my immediate family, it still wasn't enough. And I didn't realize it wasn't enough until I moved here and I had even more space to explore them and appreciate them. And now I can't imagine my life without that space. It's not just about pace of life. Back home in the United States, big houses are impressive, of course, but often soulless because most of the rooms are empty and you don't even use them. Here, you have much smaller homes and you have to be much more strategic in the furniture that you buy, how you arrange it, and what gadget you might purchase for the kitchen. But the homes are also full of history and character. Cozy little corners, fireplaces, nooks that made life feel lived in and human sized. And a community that acknowledges people. Now, it's a little bit weird walking down the street and not getting a "Hi, how are you?" every time I pass somebody, but what replaces that is people stepping aside when there is someone riding a bike on the path, or acknowledging an elderly person that may need a little extra time to cross the street, or actually having markings on the floor, on the ground, and safety features that help those with disabilities cross the street or acknowledge where the end of the sidewalk is, rather than just hoping that they notice or hoping someone else can figure it out for them. People here just exist in a much more human way than they do in America. It's more about the collective and not the individual. And life feels more human based. And that literally changes everything about your perspective. For me, leaving America wasn't just about moving countries. It was letting go of habits I'd grown up with, thinking that they were all normal, driving everywhere, hustle and bustle until you collapse, always having an agenda, always having a to-do list that never quite gets finished, and only having holidays or possibly a vacation, maybe 4th of July picnic where you can actually stop and smell the roses a little bit. Eating fast, on the go, rushing through life, constant noise distracting you. Instead of having that lifestyle forever, I traded all of that for walks, quiet mornings, proper meals, and moments of calm that I didn't even know were so necessary for a peaceful life. I still work a lot. I still have goals. I still hustle when I need to. But now all of that exists in a life that actually has space for me, for my thoughts, for to be able to process my emotions and process all the events that are happening around me. And that is absolutely priceless. Leaving America was kind of a breakup with a place that I devoted a very big amount of my life to. Place where I met my partner, place where I grew up, place where I've had tons of experiences, place where I had my child, but also a place that stressed me out a lot, demanded way too much in my eyes, and convinced me that I was never gonna be good enough. Moving to the UK was like finally choosing somewhere that actually cares about me as a person. It is calm, it is patient, it is kind, and it is supportive. Of course, there's improvements that can be done. But overall, when you compare life in the United States from my perspective and what I've been through to my life in the UK, there's just no way. All it just weighs to one side towards the UK. The scales definitely tip to this side of the pond. Sometimes the best breakup you'll ever have isn't actually with a person. It's with a country. It's with a lifestyle. It's with a mentality. Honestly, it's absolutely glorious. I've never felt more content. I've never felt lighter. I've never felt calmer. I've never felt happier. Yes, a little bit smug as well, as I finally choose peace over drama. But, it is Britain. They're rubbing off. If you're somebody who right now in your life is feeling trapped by chaos, by endless hustle, or by a life that doesn't necessarily feel like it's yours, maybe it's time that you think about the mental baggage that you're carrying. Maybe you should pack up that bag and break up with your current life and try to find a better one for yourself. Doesn't have to be moving across the country. Doesn't have to move into a new country. Doesn't have to be moving at all. Sometimes leaving isn't about running away. Sometimes leaving is more about changing your perspective. It's choosing yourself, choosing what you actually want out of life and what's going to make you happy. And trust me, that's the good stuff. And that is where you find true contentment.